I don't have my contacts on, I can't see anything.
Thank you.
The Crestmont apartment situation is somewhat unique in that we have been involved in a long and very tortuous legal process with the owner, the slumlord owner of this complex. And because we were already engaged in the legal process, it gave us some tools that we don't have in dealing with some of our other bad apartment complexes. We know this is not the only inadequate apartment complex in the city of Houston, but it is so large, it's been a problem for so long, and it affected so many people, and had truly become a festering sore in the neighborhood, in addition to substandard conditions for the folks that were living there, that we had to act. We invoked many of the same protocols we used during the weather events in late May, starting with the tornado and then through the floods. We mobilized, and I can confidently say that we have a mechanism in place now to be able to respond in ways that we didn't have prior to those midsummer events, and this was a good way to spool those out and show that, I guess institutionalize the actions of the housing department, the police department, coordinating Department of Neighborhoods, everybody working well together. But the point person for all of this for the city has been Wayne Paul Thomas. In addition to wrangling council members, he was able to wrangle all those apartments and angry residents out there, and they keep everybody informed. He did an outstanding job, we call it. So if you can kind of bring us quickly up to date, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, councilors, there's going to be a full formal briefing after the 30th. What we're doing right now is working towards the 30th, and I've done my best to keep you apprised of what has been going on. This is a very serious matter. To the mayor's point, a lawsuit was initially brought against Crestmont Village, the property, like in 2013. And fast forward to today, on September 17th, the mayor decided that lights were out at the complex and that we would get involved. And I want to thank so many individuals that have helped us get through this, starting with Councilmember Dwight Boykins and his office. He was very instrumental, but most importantly, these departments, council members, you'll be very proud to know that HPD stepped up. Department of Neighborhoods, and with HPD, that was Chief Troy Fenner. Kudos to him. Department of Neighborhood, Katie Tipton, boarding up all of these properties as we got the residents out. The legal department, Donna Edmondson and her team have done yeoman's work. General Services was involved, Scott Minnick's team. Health and Human Services, and Jennifer Graves with Health and Human Services has been on the ground zero, with all of the tenants and all of the challenges that we face. What we did, council members, is we met these tenants where they were. Many of them had felony convictions and bad credit, poor credit history, evictions and things like that. And we found that many apartments just didn't want them. If you look at the latest update that I gave you on yesterday, you'll see that we have now gotten down from 170 number in the unit. We're now down to 30 people occupied, and we're very confident that we're going to be able to get everyone out by the 30th. I also want to recognize Mr. Gerald Womack. Gerald was appointed the receiver of the property. He has not been able to collect rent, but he has kept this facility going with his own finances as we meet all of the challenges that are before us. Also, Mayor, we want to give kudos to State Senator Rodney Ellis, who helped restore the residents' food stamps. When the power was out, their food went bad, and Senator Ellis stepped up to work with us. And then the American Red Cross. The American Red Cross, wasn't a disaster as we typically see it, but it was a disaster for these residents. And so we want to thank the American Red Cross for working with us. And then the food bank. They stepped up. 33,000 pounds of food were given to the residents, Mayor. And I hope I haven't left anyone out. But councilors, what I wanted to give you was an overview of where we are. We have until the 30th. We have 30 tenants that we're working with to get out. And at that point, we will either, Mayor, we will rule those properties. We've got to figure out what we will do with the property. But again, our thanks to, Mayor, actually to you. Because I remember you pulling this in your office at 3 o'clock and say, by 7 o'clock I want to be out there, and this is what I want to see happen. And we got everybody on board, and I will tell you that many of the staffers from various departments said they have never seen this type of effort before when we come together and work for a common cause. And so, Mayor, that is all to your credit. And Councilman Boykins, to your credit, A-Rocket, Uber has been helpful in taking the tenants to the apartments. Because many of them don't have cars, and Metro, we have Metro passes, so kudos to Metro. It has just, and then kudos to the church and Dr. Simon over at Bethel. He opened up his church for us so that we can have a place to meet. And one final thing, Councilman, before, if you have any questions, was there was a really bad New Jack City element at this complex. In the back. And what we found was when we would board up and put people out, the gangbangers would come back. Well, HPD had to start making arrests, and I will tell you to their credit, because it's frightening to go to this property, particularly at night what police officers have to do. But they have cleaned it up, there have been multiple arrests, and I can tell you that today, everything that needs to be boarded up is boarded up, and we will meet our October 30th target here.
Wayne-Paul, I don't know whether you mentioned the housing department, but there was a huge role for the housing department.
Yes, you know, particularly Melody Bar with housing. Melody has just done yeoman's work. They actually did the vouchers. They're the ones that had to go and inspect properties before you could put people in the properties. And that was challenging as well, Mayor. And I want to also mention Sandra Hines, a community activist that has been so helpful with individuals that are afraid to come and approach government, if you will approach her. And so we've been working with Sandra Hines and her team as well. But yes, Mayor, you're right. Housing has played a pivotal role in this. And money is coming from housing in terms of the vouchers and things like that. And we're helping with first month's rent and the deposits and things like that.
I actually heard from the school district as well that as we stabilize this, we fix this apartment complex and we stabilize some of these families, that they're actually even seeing better attendance at school. So this is a benefit to the entire neighborhood. But again, I want to thank you for your actions through this process. We have until the 30th, given by the judge. Everybody has to be out, and everybody will be out of the complex. Then it's a matter of determining whether we should bulldoze, or the bottom line is that it's not going to be reoccupied in its current conditions. It's going to have to be taken down to the ground and rebuilt, or just really bulldozed and redeveloped. And we're looking forward to that process. Number of council members in the queue. Councilmember Boyd.
Thank you, Mayor, and I hope the next mayor will be generous enough to let you still get on that bulldozer, because this is under your watch, Mayor. William Paul, thank you, man. The mayor was absolutely correct. You took this thing on. Everybody got engaged, but we followed your lead, and it's in my council district, and I followed your lead. And I just can't publicly thank you enough for staying on keeping me on top of it. Even when I was out of town and couldn't keep my hands on it, you went and dealt with it, and I just can't thank you enough. I also want to thank Gerald Womack. A lot of people don't realize he's not getting paid to do this at this point. Now, I was in court with him when attorney Robert Huntley and Sandra Edison in the city's legal department, we met in the courtroom during the hearing when the judge came back and set the date on shutting it down. And I was just, kind of reminiscent of this whole process. And I said, it started with William Paul Thomas. He passed the baton over to Gerald Womack. even though the court assigned Gerald as a receiver. You were on the ground dealing with this. So, man, I don't want it to go unheard without knowing your role in dealing with this, William Paul. So you take it for granted because you think it's just the right thing to do, which it is. But publicly, thank you. Also want to thank Chris Newport, who, when I got, when we ended, the mayor was, I was in Washington, D.C., was having a press conference. He was my eyes and ears because everybody else was on your phone line. And Chris, I don't know if he's in here, but I want to publicly thank him for keeping me in the loop, as well as Keith Wade, who was quiet behind the scenes. And I know Keith was engaged in this. Melanie Barr in the housing department, who made certain the transition with the vouchers and the down payment assistance. Can't thank her enough. Most importantly, everybody's done a great job. And I think what Troy Fenner, Chief Fenner, the Houston Police Department, having to go into that New Jack City environment and deal with that. He was giving me a report at least every other day. He told me councilmember crime is down, almost to zero in that area, because we're taking a no tolerance approach to it. So thank you so much. And there's another lady, Mayor, a lot of people don't know about, Julie Countess. She's in Vince Ryan's office, Harris County Attorney's Office. She's very clear that it was a city's injunction put on, I think, back in June. This young lady has been watching this, going out to the location at Crestmont, went to the court when we had the hearing, and she's engaged, and I just, she's volunteering, and I can't thank her enough for her commitment. Also, Reverend Simon and Sandra Hines, as you mentioned, Reverend Simon with New Bethel Church out there is giving up his facility to allow people to have a one-stop shop, whether it's the health department, or legal department, or Uber, or whoever it is, to be able, because I think Uber is donating transportation for people to go to different locations. I think Yellow Cab was approached too, and I think they maybe donate sometimes some free rides too. But the city of Houston comes together when we have these kind of opportunities, and I want to thank both of them for that. Jennifer Gray in the housing department, in the health department. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, because people may say, Dwight, why are you giving all these accolades? Until you go down Martin Luther King and turn on Zelensky and get in that environment, you would understand why it's important to let these people know we appreciate them. This is just an amazing situation. It's a very heartfelt, sad situation because you have kids running around there in that kind of environment. The good news is this. Help is on the way. We're moving people out. A-Rock and DeAndre Sam, I can't thank him enough for what he's doing. But we were told by the judge that we can tear these apartments down. And when they come down, I can tell you now, Mr. Paul Thomas, I've probably received 5 calls where developers want to come in and talk about building some senior facilities, a different facility, and I'm recommending senior facilities because we have an aging population over there. Bring something back to that neighborhood that will encourage commercial retail to come into the South Park area. I'm grateful that we receive a tourist, the Gulfgate tourist that's stretching over that direction that will help bring in economic development. So we have a future in the South Park area that's brighter than the sun can shine. So I want to, again, just thank you guys so much for what y'all have done. Mayor, your team has been outstanding. We still have work to do. But we went from 170 to 30. And when you have people, whether we want to face it or not, these folk over here that have background issues, these folk over here that have no rental history, if we look in our back rearview mirror, we have relatives like that too, whether we want to face it or not. So for us to have a heart to try to help these people is what's taking place. And I just want to thank you, and let's not forget that, because these are human beings. These are God's creation, and we're going to do what we can to help them. But it started with you, and I want to end it with you.